Welcome back to Real Talk with Kimberly Majette. So last week we talked about people that are sitting on a lot of equity and that equity is not growing for them and just what to do with that money. So I had a lot of people reach out and ask for some clarification on that. So I thought I'd kind of dive deep and just go a little bit further on how to make your money work for you as opposed to sitting on a big pile of equity that's essentially your wealth. So I personally did this with my own home. I was sitting on probably about $350,000 worth of equity. And while I was very comfortable with, my mortgage payment, and I was like a lot of people, I had a very low interest rate. I was about 2.75, and I hear all the time where people just refuse to give up that rate, and we're probably never going to see that rate again. So I can definitely understand. The problem with that is being a little short-sighted in that you are focused and being married to the 2% rate, 1% rate, and you're not seeing what money you're missing out on. So essentially what I did is I sold my home, my primary investment. I took the equity out. I took the smallest amount that I could to put it into a new home and a mortgage that I was comfortable with and I could afford. And yes, that rate was higher. I do have about a 6% interest rate now. However, I took one chunk and put it into a new house, and your return on investment when you're purchasing a home is going to be your return on your down payment. So that's what you want to focus on. We don't necessarily want to see people put all cash for a house because that's not making your money grow, right? So my return on investment since I've put 20% down on my next house has grown. It's probably tripled on my down payment. I took the additional money and I put it in the stock market. I put it very simple, S&P 500 and a few essential stocks that I just feel comfortable with. Now my money in the S&P 500 gained about 12% this year, in addition to what my down payment did on my new house. So my money's growing in two places. Versus being married to that 2.75% rate that I had and my money just sitting there and it was lazy. It wasn't working. It wasn't growing. It can't grow. There's nowhere for it to grow. So that's what we talk about when we talk about sitting on too much equity and your money not growing for you. We have a wealth accumulator that we talk about, and there's 4 different sectors to that, and I'd love to share that with you guys. But that is 2 of those sectors is your primary investment and making sure you have money in the stock market, which I think a lot of people are intimidated by, but it's actually pretty simple. Stick with the S&P 500, 12 to 15% return over the last, 12, 13 years. Very safe investment, but your money's actually growing for you. So I hope that helps. I hope that is a little explanation as to what I personally did and what we help a lot of our clients do that are sitting on a lot of equity and are just scared to move away from that 2 or 3%, which is totally understandable. But at the end of the day, their wealth grows and gets bigger through real estate by walking away from that 3%.